We know that these unacknowledged special access projects have used intimidation, have used threats, and at times people have been killed to maintain this secrecy. I know that this is an extreme statement to make, but I am convinced from talking to not one, but dozens of military and intelligence men and women that this type of intimidation and threatening behavior has happened and continues to happen. I think this is something which is unacceptable in a democracy and in our society. Alfred Weber is a Yale Law School graduate who, while working for Stanford Research Institute, SRI, was charged with putting together the proposal during the Carter years for the official White House study of extraterrestrial intelligence. He testifies about how, at the moment that this proposal was approved by White House staff during the Carter years, that a Pentagon official appeared at Stanford Research Institute and ordered that the project be terminated, or the Pentagon would withdraw its funding for other lucrative contracts at SRI. He states that this action was not only illegal, but preempted the express desire of the Carter White House.
The goal of the study, in the context, there had been such secrecy and a gap in civilian scientific knowledge about the UFO phenomenon. And so the goal of the study was to fill the knowledge gap and to make policy recommendations for the future. It would have drawn upon the best scientific minds available, not only in the United States, but in countries around the world. This project was undertaken openly, of a civilian nature, with transparency. There was no classified aspects. It started at Stanford Research Institute in my offices. The full management of Stanford Research Institute had signed off knowingly on the proposal. Every 2 or 3 weeks I would meet with the White House staff, people in the executive office building. I was signed in and out. The structure of our proposal was that the White House would remain the overall policy director on this research proposal, which was envisioned to be about 3 years long. This project lasted from May 1977, when the initial contacts were made with the White House, until 1977, when it was terminated. The matter came under senior management when the proposal was unlawfully, in terms of illegal interference with contract relations, terminated. They had received direct communications from the Pentagon that if the study went forward, SRI's contracts with the Pentagon would be terminated. And the senior official advised me, and I'm quoting him, to dissimulate, quote, end of quote, and to just dissimulate and pretend I was going along with it, implying that I would keep my job if I did so.
He told us we could not talk about this to anyone, including any of the other crews, our spouses, our family, even amongst each other. So we could not discuss this at all.
It had been discussed with me on numerous occasions. Talked about what could happen to me militarily, and what could happen to me even if I discussed this as a civilian.
That subject just was dropped. It just wasn't discussed.
Anything to discredit you, and you'd never get a promotion, and I'd spend the next 3.5 years up at the North Pole, living in a tent checking weather balloons.
I've made no money from this. I've got nothing but pain and suffering out of talking about it. I've been harassed at my home. This was used against me partially in losing a job once in teaching. I've had a hell of a time after I've told this story, but I continue to tell the story because I think it's important for people to understand that this sort of shit goes on in the government.
If their military personnel were to talk about this, they could be court court-martialed, or at least threaten to be court-martialed, to get them to back down and to scare them. And other intimidations would be to hold their paychecks back, transfer them to other bases where a lot of people would not want to go to, like Alaska.